Hey fellow gearheads, welcome to Ron's Muscle Car Garage. Thanks for watching everyone. Today I'm going to show you what to watch for when you buy a front engine plate. I've got two different plates here, one for my 67, one for my 69. What a difference. Can cause you some grief if you don't pay attention to today's video. So let's check it out. Okay, first thing I want to point out is this right here. Take a look at this, see this gasket, and see the size of the hole in the center is much larger than the hole in this engine plate. Now, that being said, the water pump in this case, which is the electric water pump, a Missouri, 55 gallon an hour, it has a smaller orifice than what this plate does. And that's not a big deal. That's how this is supposed to be, and that's great. But these factory gaskets are a bit of an issue, and let me show you why. If you'll notice this cutout right here, and you notice because this gasket has such a large hole, this portion of the gasket is barely covering that aluminum. So by adding RTV around here, that can help. In fact, some guys on the back side of these plates, when it bolts up to the engine, will not use a gasket, and they'll only use RTV, black RTV, or high temperature, let's say the copper sealant. But I don't like to do that. I don't like to not have a gasket in between two metal surfaces. I would rather have that gasket crush with RTV on it to make it seal. But this is the issue. Now look at this plate here. Quite different. Notice how the aluminum actually comes out. And let me put this one over here. But you know, see how that is so narrow there, that webbing? But look at what they've done here. This is a different brand. There are many brands of front engine plates, and there are many shapes. I like these, this basic rectangle shape. I've cut out all these wing areas to make it fit between my control arms and everything. But I didn't really realize when I bought this plate, and this was done several years ago, probably about 6 or 7 I'd say by now. Well, this one was only bought maybe 2 years ago, and I bought a different brand. So this one here is, they've actually taken into this account this flaw. And I call it a flaw because that's too narrow right there, especially when a gasket has just a little webbing and the hole is so much larger to begin with, it barely catches it. And I had a leak, and it was because of that right there. So the new plate, which is going to go on my 69 car, I won't have that issue because the gasket covers and goes all the way around, and there's enough meat underneath the gasket where I can seal it. Okay, so that covers that. Now the other thing I'm going to do, and I'm going to show you that today, this is gasket material. And this right here is what's called a shim punch. Now I made this shim punch when I was building dies back in my day and doing that for a living. And we used to have to make shims all the time. So this is a great way to do that. It's very accurate. Now, the size diameter of this hole in this water pump happens to be the same size diameter of this biggest punch that I have. So, that being said, I can make gaskets that are actually accurate. So I can make a gasket with a hole like that, which gives me a lot more gasket material to cover this area of this plate. The other option would be to throw this plate away and buy a new plate, but it's not necessary. These run between $95 and $125. I have a good plate here. I just have to make a better gasket and seal it. And that's what I'm going to do today, and that's what I'm going to show you. So now let's take a look at a time lapse of me making 2 new gaskets to address that thin webbing situation on that one motor plate. I hope this video was helpful to you guys, knowing that you can actually make a gasket that fits better and covers the area that needs to be covered. Understand that you can buy gasket material at any automotive store. I happen to pick this up at my local Napa store. Small roll. It is the actual Fel-Pro gasket material that's used in their actual gaskets, so the thickness is the same. You can actually get this also in 3 different thicknesses. This happens to be the mid-range thickness, and did a really good job. Now let me show you something here as well as to why is it that the hole is so large on the stock gasket that you would pick up at one of your local parts stores. Let's take a look at the size of the orifices on these 2 water pumps. We have a mechanical water pump here. This happens to be one for my 69 car. It's more of a street car. I like mechanical pumps, by the way. This one here is an electric pump. This is the Missouri pump. And notice that this is the diameter of the hole on the Missouri, but this hole is much larger. So a stock gasket works much better on it. Now the problem though is it's still a little bit larger than it needs to be. And that's probably just so that it doesn't get over the hole and block any water flow. That's probably the logic behind that. But this is not the correct application really for this type water pump. And I wanted to point that out. Just a lot of wasted coverage right there. It needs to be better, and this now does the trick. If you have any comments or questions, go ahead and leave them in the comments section below. Once again, I hope this was helpful. Thanks for watching. Till next time, like I always say, keep on working on them because they're never done.